Welcome back to the Aviation RcNoob podcast. You found us. My name is Joe.
And I'm Matt.
We're here to be with you along your journey and to share our experiences in RC aviation. If you have any questions, thoughts, or want to share a flight story, hit us up at aviationrcnoob@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, do you want to give me like give people like a 5-minute rundown on where you started, what you're doing now in aviation, and then kind of run through, like, I'd love to just talk about like what planes have you designed? I know the designs are available on the forums, the FT forums.
Most of them, although I've kind of stopped after a little while. It just gets big, and then
I was so disappointed. I was like, no, they're not all there. That's okay. There's so many really amazing planes that you've already done that are on there. So if you want a taste of like what you're doing, and then maybe talk a little bit about how you go from what you want to build to how to make it look the way you want. Because it's not just, they're not like profilers, right?
No.
For people who don't know what you build, you know?
Yeah, so I try to build the most accurate scale models I can. Started out designing and building back in 2017, building flight test stuff in 2016, back when I was in college. I actually have an aerospace engineering degree, undergrad and master's, and I work as an aerospace engineer for GE now on military engines and military aircraft, which is pretty fun.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with it.
All right.
There's a reason. There's a reason I'm holding that airplane in that picture, which is pretty cool. But for airplanes I've designed, I think the first one that I had that worked well and that I put plans out and people actually responded to well was the 50mm F-86 Sabre, which I put out in 2018-ish. That's on the forums still, and I think still has some engagement, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Since then, I've done a lot of stuff. Each time trying to iterate more towards, I hesitate to say like the meta of foam board aircraft. So for a little while, I was coming in towards more of what Dale Stratton and Dan Sponholz were doing. At the beginning, it was closer to FT style, like the simple Spitfire, right? The boxy, yeah. Some of the Overstreet design implementation as well, with more formers inspired and circular. And yeah, so I did an F-15. I did a couple of F-15s. One around then with the boxy style that was made up to look like Ben Harbour's F4 Phantom 2. And then there was an F-15 I did that was about that. And then there's the Overstreet jets, which I don't want to say I borrowed from, because I don't think I did at all. But I did definitely start moving towards more of, cylindrical fuselages, no more boxy design, the folded foam board, right? And going towards that. So some of the cooler planes that I've designed over the last couple years at least are an F-35. I'm trying to work on getting one to hover, which would be pretty cool out of the foam board.
Oh yeah. What about the F-35B with the? Is that the one you're talking about?
Would be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, please.
Yes, I have 3D printed and done the swivel nozzle, and that works.
And is that the one from who's you said the name earlier, like a while back? And they've been actively working on that. What was that?
Renee Rosentrager. They've been working on that. Joel Vlashoff, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. He has an actual F-35B that hovers, which is really, really cool.
What I love about his is that on top of the success he's had with it, and I know it's been a journey of love for him, just watching some of his YouTube, but that he has like one servo that opens up all 20 doors or whatever it is.
It's so cool. Yeah, it's most
impressive.
of it on.
I'm like, what do you mean one servo channel opens all of it?
Yeah, he's using a lot of like traditional airplane, not wires, but like strings, keeping one on each arm of the servo instead of just a wire, so that it's constantly it's constantly the pull. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
You have the SU-47. Sorry,
the Su-57. Right? Yeah, the Su-57. Yeah.
57. I don't know why I want to call it 47. It's my mistake.
Because the Su-47 was pretty cool. It's that forward swept fighter jet that
it is.
The Russians did in the 90s, I think. So that one is really cool. I made that quite large, maybe a little too large, and that incorporated 3D printed thrust vectored nozzles for both, which this was pretty cool.
What material did you print those out of?
PETG.
PETG, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry.
I have.
Is that mostly so that they would hold up to the heat during the day?
Yeah. I just didn't want them deforming in the sun.
Yeah.
Literally no other reason. And I have a bamboo lab, so PETG is not really difficult to print. Yeah, so it's a thumbs up. And that was I just want to point out that was a full year before the retro rocket came out.
I want everybody to know I came up with the first. It's not that important, but it is kind of important.
That's nice. Yeah.
Look, I can't tell you how many times that I've had an idea, I've worked on it and gotten pretty close, and then I squirreled because important things came up, like every other plane. And then somebody else takes that or has their own version of it, which is almost, we're on the same track. And then they finish it, and it's like, oh, perfect. And I'm like, dang, I came up with it first. I know I did because I see when they started posting. But good on them on finishing it because it's really cool to see it first. Like, for example, Schriepel's Yushikov flying submarine.
Oh my god, that was such a cool.
There's
I
remember
a love you working on that.
There's a love and hate for him finishing that project before me. I'm so excited for it, and I'm so disappointed in myself.
For someone who has none of the disappointment, seeing that concept work was just so impressive. So cool.
If you haven't seen it, go look it up. I worked on that the same time you were working on that World War II. That was one of the World War II concept planes.
Yeah.
The experimental planes. I was like, oh, we're going to get this done. My 3D printer didn't work. My idea was to 3D print it.
Carrier.
That's another one. It's in there.
Aircraft carrier that flies.
It's gonna someday.
You should build that Japanese submarine, Matt.
Which Japanese submarine?
Like the I-400, an aircraft carrier that submerges.
Oh, right. It has the aircraft that are in little tubes, and they shoot them out the top like torpedoes, or like interballistic missiles, and then they actually are planes.
No, I think this was just like it would open up and they'd put float planes in the water, and then they'd stick them back in a submarine.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that because there's a bunch of planes like that. There are a bunch of concepts of how are they going to get planes places secretly.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, cool. So keep going. I know you had is it Starfighter?
Crusader.
The Crusader. That's the one with the angled front F8 intakes.
Yeah, the angled front intake, and what I decided to do, which was really scale, and I don't think I've really seen it done too far else in F8 models, is the variable incident wing. Yes. Yeah.
I haven't
not just the swing wing.
I need to see it.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
No, the actual variable incident wing, and to no one's surprise, it flew better with the wing up at a higher angle, at least in flow speed. Well, but it was really, really cool. Yeah, and the swing mech was super smooth, no issues. The F8 is just one of my favorite looking airplanes, as weird as that sounds, from that Cold War era. Just love the wing design, love the intake design. So that one was at Flight Fest this year. Last year, the big one that I brought was an F-22 with the vectored nozzles, same scale as the Su-57 that I brought this year. So a decent chunk smaller, but still probably too big.
Let's talk about that, because that's person size.
Yeah, it's big.
Right, when you sit it on the tail, it's much like the F-15 that you had. it's as tall as you are, right? Like I'm pointing to Brian, but we're not talking like these are small planes. These aren't like park size models. They're like they're pretty good size.
I'm wondering how I missed them. Like I saw the Su-57 from a distance, and I was really impressed. But I didn't see any of your stuff close up. I don't think, at least the big stuff.
You spent too long in the STEM tent, I guess.
I'm very disappointed in myself now.
No, Brian was in it. Brian was in the RV section.
I was in the RV section.
That's true.
I guess be more social.
Yeah, come around, peruse the tents a little.
It's one of those problems us engineers have, right?
I will come out and I'll make sure to drag you through and make sure to talk to everyone. You'll be like, oh my God, he really does take 3. Now I know why it takes 3 hours to get apart.
I don't know. I spent so much time behind your RV over at Dan and Keegan's campfire.
Yeah.
Could have just walked over, yeah. I could have actually said hi. It's on me as much.
Dude, it's Flight Fest. It's what happens.
It's what happens, yeah. Yeah. No.
So, and I know you also in the fantasy build, there's a fantasy build like challenge that was like right after the World War II concept plane.
There was,
like the next year. They had the fantasy plane. And of course, I'm like, wait a second, hold on. I got a lot of ideas. And of course, you're sitting there going like, oh, hold on. Here, hold my coffee. And you designed the hydroplane where it's like 8 prop motors or 6 prop motors with 2 EDFs in it.
Yes, it was the Hydra flying wing from the first Captain America movie back in 2011. And that hydroplane flying wing design is essentially an up-jumped Horton HO 19 or something like that, like version 19 of the 229. And it had 8 engines, 6 of which were the red bottom propellers, and then 2 were 70 millimeter EDFs. And I think it ended up being like 11 feet or 9 feet long.
It was like at full 4 sections, I think.
Yeah, it was full 4 sections. It was,
if not 5.
Oh my God. That's correct.
And it's signed by who's it signed by? Everybody, huh?
I know Josh's signature's on there, Dave, Jester, and this was the second one they dropped in the Flurkin video.
That's awesome.
So, sorry, and I know you had a couple designs. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying it was topical, so sorry, I had to bring up.
No,
I love this. I love this thing. It cracks me up every time I see it.
Absolutely.
And it still lights up.
Nice. Obviously you built the B2 bomber. That's the thing we have in the picture.
The B2
at the moment
was really cool. That I included the I included the split flap rudders for yaw control, and then I also included 3D printed ducts so I could bury the engines deeper into the fuselage, much like the real one. That tapered into more of the rectangular cross sections. So it went from circular to square-ish. And then large.
As you were hoping.
I know, yeah, that's right. And then the landing gear doors opened and closed. So it was full retractable landing gear with the big doors that I was hoping would act as V-stabs in forward flight, because this has none. That one didn't work super well. I really should have put some form of 6-axis gyro in. An Aura board would have been great.
Probably would have helped it be easier to work with.
Yeah, probably would have helped it to be easier to work with. Still flew though, so that's a win for me. Yeah, didn't fly well. Yeah, and then chasing that VTOL for a little while. So I did a V22 back in 2021, which was pretty cool. The hover worked really well on the older Open Aero VTOL, the KK2 board. Yeah.
And you said you're working on the Osprey, right? That's the V22.
Yeah, working on the Osprey again now, but with smaller laser cut components instead of everything being 3D printed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, and those are just like the big projects.
Yeah, those are the big projects. I'm not including like the F-86s, the MiG-15s,
you seem to focus almost a little bit more on like our buddy Ethan. He's like, I want to build the planes that people can shoot down. Like everybody builds the good guy stuff. You need to have a couple bad guys up there to shoot down.
Correct. Yeah, that was the whole point of that Su-57, right? Is coming out of Top Gun, being like, oh my god, the 5th gen fighter is so cool.
Yeah.
I don't need an F-14.
So I have a question. For you, Jarrod.
Sure.
When you start designing a plane, what do you start? Do you start with a picture, and then are you using a CAD program of some sort to?
So I'm using just a 3-view photo. Sometimes I will. I'm not actually using CAD except for the 3D printed parts. Those obviously. Sometimes what I'll do for some of the weirder stuff that doesn't really exist, so you can't find formers on any of the 3 views, right?
You have to make it up.
You have to make it up. So often what I'll do is I'll find a 3D model of the plane, and then I'll put it into just the 3D builder slicer on your Microsoft machine, right? And you can take slices into that 3D model and then screenshot those. And then if you keep the scale the same on everything, you've essentially created formers at different locations on that airplane, which again, you're not going to find any 3-view out there with formers for the B2. You're not going to find any 3-view out there with formers for the Su-57, nothing like that. But you can find 3D models that look pretty good. And then as long as your airfoil design is solid enough, you're probably all right.
So after you kind of form out the fuselage,
sure.
Right, do you then go back and go, okay, I know the plan form of the wing because that's kind of set in the 3-view. Yeah. But now I got to look at like, what is my wing shape? And how I'm going to, like, what shape am I going to make this? Do you just start with a Clark Y and see if that, or like a modified Clark Y if it's a flying wing, and just say, yeah, that's a good start, and see if it flies?
Usually, yeah. Unless there's something you can visually see with the pictures of it having a thicker wing or something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, standard Clark Y. Yeah. Some of them, like the B2, the B2 is different. The B2 is heavily modified. So there were airfoil sections on multiple parts of that wing to try and match up with the foam board. The problem being, though, that you're then curving both the underside and the top side of the wing itself to kind of match that airfoil.
Oh, believe me, I've done it. That's where the ironing on the edges.
Yeah.
And making sure, like, when the one comes up into the top, if the top comes past it and you iron it right, you end up actually creating that divot. Or you do it the other way where this comes straight and you iron the bottom, and it ends up basically effectively becoming a modified Clark Y. It doesn't always work perfectly, but it works pretty well.
It works pretty well. Time consuming, but it works. Yeah.
Not as bad as it could be. How much do you plan for the structure or the routing of, like, where do you spend a lot of time figuring out where components go, or you just sort of go, I need to make sure I got the motor right, and then the rest we'll just slap in and cut as we go?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's quite that simple of slapping it in the cut, right? But once you know where the motors are going to go and you know how you're going to attach your control surfaces, right? At that point, then routing the wires, you're just cutting that. I do give some thought to the ESCs where that's going to go, just to make sure that they're not getting cooked, right? That they're getting maybe some airflow, either from the engine intake or from the outside air, right? But otherwise, for wire routing, a little bit. On a decent number of the airplanes, though, because they're more or less the fighter jets, I'll make sure to include, for anything that has 6S, at this point, they need a carbon fiber rod in there for the wing spar.
Is that for more like when they pull G's, the foam won't handle it?
Kind of, yeah. I don't know if
now that 2 or 3 pounds becomes 18.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys have talked to Crash and Burn over on the flight test forum, right?
A little bit, yeah.
He did a couple FT262s, and he just kept folding the wings like over and over again because you've got the engines fairly spread out from that CG, and the wing spars are really thin. And then Ben Harbor's A4. He did a V2 recently. I don't know if he put the plans out onto the forum or public use yet, but I built one last August, and I didn't use carbon fiber, and I pretty much immediately bent that wing. So at this point, anything that is 6S, I'm putting carbon fiber in. So the Su-57 has 2 carbon fiber spars, but that's also to allow for the wings to be removable, right? Because it's so big that it would no longer fit in the SUV. So the wings came off, and the V stabs came off. H stabs came off. And then for standard fighter jets, you basically have the pylons that go back in between on the outside of the engines, right? I think like for an F-16 or an F-15 or anything like that. And you can either route that directly into, I don't want to say the engine nacelle itself, right? Or for like the F-15, you have flatter sections on the side of the engine nacelle. So I often end up sticking the reinforced paint sticks in there to join up with the carbon fiber, so that there's a positive moment counteracting the weight of the paint stick itself, right? And then for the Su-57, the Su-57 is really cool. It has that paint stick.
It's okay to be proud of that. If you guys, I'm looking forward to sharing the pictures with everybody. I hope you please send me a couple of the pictures so we can put it in with this video. We'll kind of shift to it as we talk about it. But like, it wasn't just like the nozzle. There's so much going on with that plane. It's really well done. Just
thank you. Yeah, no, it is really well done. If I do say so myself. There are actually there's 1/8 inch steel rods that are curved around there's essentially a 3D printed section at the end of the nacelle for the engine that the 3D printed nozzle can attach to, right? And that 3D printed section sandwiches in, and it sandwiches a 1/8 inch steel wire that curves around the nacelle and sticks in and anchors itself, and then pushes out, and is actually what the H stab, or the full flying stab on the Su-57, swings around. So that is the axis for the stabilator.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yes. More. We want more. I'm kidding.
Yeah, pictures are fine, but if you can just send the plans over.
I know a couple guys who can wear kits around for everybody. And what are those powered with just 7? They were powered with 70 millimeters, right? And
they are, yeah. Man, which
wow.
It should be smaller. I think I would love. So
2 of those 50 millimeters, I think would make it reasonable size.
No. It would, but if you can find me good 50 millimeters on 6S, maybe.
Oh,
but 6S at this point, I'm kind of addicted to the 6S.
I was thinking more with the FMS,
I don't know, man.
Those motors, like 2 of those in there, keep it a 4S, but it'd be smaller and lighter, so it'd work.
I just use the cheap Power Fund ones, and those have pretty good thrusts. Well, the 50s are 4S, but yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, but I mean, it's still 70 millimeter 6Ss are still really approachable.
Yeah, they're not that crazy. And here, I'm sending a picture of what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna refrain from looking at it at the moment, but I helped hand launch it. By the way, thank you, Brian, because the confidence of sending out that Tomcat gave me the confidence to say, "Hey, you want me to throw that thing for you?" And he's like,
you did a great job.
I do need somebody. I'm like, yeah, I can't imagine you trying to launch that with a controller in your hand and like hoping that you can get on the sticks in time for the thing that, as a guy who launched that Noob Wonder 300% twin that's 16 pounds by myself at the field, that was a bad. It worked.
I remember you doing that. I remember.
It was a bad plan.
It wasn't the best. Especially after you spent that much time on it.
But it's okay. It worked out. Again,
is this the one you flew at Flight Fest 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the one that Joe launched, and I brought it back home, and I've been like, I want to go fly it. So I brought it out to my field, and as I'm putting it together, I'm like, oh cool, there's a couple people here. Like by the time I got it out and was assembling it, I finished assembling it, and the last guy was literally like, "Okay, see you later," and he's driving down the driveway, and I'm like, "Now what am I gonna do?" And I'm like, "I guess I gotta heave this onto my shoulder. I gotta throttle up, and the props are right here, and I'm like, I gotta grab the back of it and just heave it, and I know it'll go. I just hope I don't I don't know, kick it so it starts to turn. It'd be terrible." Anyway.
I don't think size is the only problem. I had today at our club event. I brought a 50 millimeter 3D printed F-16 XL.
Oh, nice.
It's Kyle Germanton's one of his designs.
I've seen that. It looks really cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this was a really really slapped together. But I went out. I threw it out. Had one of our club members toss it for me the first flight. He tossed it and it pitched way straight nose up, and thankfully I had enough thrust to get the nose back down and fly it away, and that was fine. And then the second time he threw it, he wanted to not make the nose pitch up, so he pushed it the other way, and it went straight down and shattered. So
that's
it's not
impossible to
just
recover
big
from.
planes. Little planes have trouble too.
Yeah. Jeez.
When you guys launch, this is just a weird question. Do you guys launch with your dominant hand and then scramble for the transmitter, or do you guys actually? I'm assuming everyone's a right-handed person here, but do you guys launch with left hand and have control the whole time?
So for me, I am right-handed, and the throttle on the remote is on the left throttle, right?
Yeah.
So I can control the throttle immediately. So yeah, I'm right-hand dominant. So I would absolutely throw with my right-hand dominant and control the throttle, with my left hand on the remote. So yeah, I mean, for me, that would be absolutely correct.
Sure.
But I'm kind of mixed. I'm mostly left-handed, but not entirely. And so I'll just do the same thing that Travis does. Is I'll throw the plane with my right and control the throttle with my left.
If it's a wing, I throw it with my left hand because I almost guarantee. Well, one,
it's gonna
by the
swing.
time I launch, it's level.
Right.
But I guarantee you, I need my hand on the stick faster on those because when they get out of whack, they're hard to correct quick.
Right.
By the time you take the time to get it back on the sticks, you're already done half the time. At that point, it's coming back towards the line, or you're like, no. So I'll launch those with my left, and I'll have my hands on the stick with my right, so I can control the roll as I launch. But most other planes, it's usually right hand. I kind of get the throttle. I have my hand on the throttle, and I launch. And it goes straight enough, and it gives me enough time. With the big build, I have to, because I kind of I need the steady pivot hand of the left, which seems to have the like the horse strength, and then the right with the control and the oomph.
Oh yeah.
For 16 pounds, I gotta it's almost like pivot on the one, and then just heave ho like a shot put, and it's that's a lot. It's like I'm just hoping the motors are going to not do something weird on the takeoff. Just crank it and heave. And with the bigger ones, they just seem to take longer to get in trouble.
Yeah, so they fly a little bit smoother because they're just
right.
a little more stable.
Yeah, and they're more likely to get, for the weight, the lift that they're generating is massive. The 16-pound plane, I can guarantee you, I flew it at 20% throttle or 30% throttle, maybe, going fast. It didn't need to go fast to get it in the, keep in the air, at all. So the bigger the plane, the less throttle you really genuinely need, unless you're trying to go fast.
No, you just put more thrust in it and just launch it straight up, just like a FT Hornet.
I know. I should. You're fair. No, it's a good question.
Well, the FT Hornets they've got enough thrust compared to the all up weight on those things. I'll just hold mine, throttle up, and just do that, and it'll
just give it
right out.
a wrist flick.
Yeah. You can almost just let go of it and let it fly away.
They're beautifully flying planes.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this on the last episode, Matt. But Jarrod, I have a question for you. Flying full scale, do you notice how much more? It's kind of like if you're in a full scale airplane and you have so much thrust out of a real prop and it makes you wish you had as much thrust in a real airplane as you do in an RC. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, the thrust to weight ratio.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
Oh my God.
This Cessna
It's
won't
wild.
hover.
The Cessna will not hover. The hot, humid days here, the climb rate is just abysmal. You're just sitting there. It's been 4,000 feet, and you've only been able to climb 400. Like, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Comparatively, it's terrible.
I think that for Su-57, thrust to weight ratio might be similar. I think we're about 1-to-1 for both.
Yeah, that's true. Might be. Because it definitely you weren't just I'll do what I want with it. You had to maneuver it and get speed and be a little judicious.
Yeah, it wasn't full on instantaneous hover to punch out. Yeah. I mean, part of that though was that there was a crosswind, and then the whole thing is just a lifting body. So
it was a backwind. If I recall right, we were trying to launch it, and we're like, "Where's the wind coming from?" And it was in the evening.
that was the second.
And it was
flight.
like
the first
over
flight
our
was a
shoulder.
crosswind, but yes, yes.
Like, well, we could launch it towards the tents, and it'd have good takeoff, or we launch it sort of. We basically you decided like I'm going to do crosswind.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm not trying to land on a runway. I don't really care, and I don't want a backwind if I can help it.
Yeah.
And
there's not really a whole lot of V-stab on there, so
no. Yeah, especially with those. Right. Nice. What's your favorite problem that you solved while building these more, or like a technique you learned while going through this journey?
Like, we narrowing this down at all, or?
No, I mean you've built a wide range of things from impressive to complicated and impressive.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I know in those journeys you learned a lot about different pieces and parts. Some of it was, I know this is fantasy and it's not real, but how do I make sure that it can still do the impossible, right?
Yeah.
And it may look like it should do something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it will. Like the giant DuckTales plane or whatever, like the one that looked like it was a cruise boat, but it was like a Sea Duck, but it was like a 6-level, like it was it's a fantasy that somebody's like, oh, we're going to make these boat planes and they're going to basically be flying cruise ships. And it was like a 6 or 7 deck Sea Duck. You're like, that sounds cool, but
I think doesn't the National Guard have something kind of similar to it in a real plane?
It's the one that grabs all the water, and usually that's their firefighting plane.
Yeah.
I think is what
the CL-15s, the Canadair.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I remember seeing it at Oshkosh one year. They had landed one, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the plane but it seemed like it reminded me completely. I think it was a Navy plane or a National Guard plane that looked almost identical to a Sea Duck.
Yeah, it's the same idea. It's a little different, but it's designed to pick up water.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a CL-215. It's and they even paint them just like the same color schemes as the Sea Duck in the cartoons. Almost. So it doesn't have it doesn't have a twin boom, but it's very, very similar in style.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I just put a link in the chat to the Wikipedia page for them. Yeah, there's a cool Lego kit of the CL-215 out there now too. I think
there is. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah. Nice.
They had an Osprey, but it was cursed, and then they pulled it. So it's one of like the rarest Lego sets there is, because only a few pre-production models exist.
I would really.
I don't know if you know what I'm
love
talking
to have
about.
a hold of them. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I know exactly the one you're talking about. I've
Are you kidding me? You
kept my
can
eyes open for one.
you can
I
3D
would
print them
love to
now.
have that kit.
Don't worry about it. You just 3D print them.
No, I don't even think the parts list is out there for that.
I don't think it is either.
Kit. No.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could.
Because you can just buy the Legos and make it.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
Right. All right. So back to the question.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I've been thinking about it because so much of RC airplanes, so much of all of this stuff, it's been a 10-year journey at this point for me, and it's been the vehicle through which I've learned so many engineering skills, whether that be coding to be able to modify Dream Flight, right? Whether that be 3D printing. The whole reason I got a 3D printer was to be able to work on RC airplanes, add those scale details. At this point, CNC cutting, laser cutting, learning what G code was, learning how to do any and all of that manufacturing, all the electrical engineering work that's required. I know I didn't touch on this at all because it was kind of a failure earlier this year, but I was working on a full solar plane, right, that didn't have a battery. And it was just a little too heavy because the foam board isn't good for it. And I really should move over to balsa and balsa and covering film, right? All of that. Like I wanted to learn how the resistors worked. I wanted to learn how to program a microchip. So I took on that project.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just been what have you wanted to do, and then how to learn those skills within RC airplanes, right? Like I want to at some point do an Acronoplane. I know that's kind of blasé at this point with all the YouTubers.
And everybody else is like, we've done it 5 times already. But like, no, it's a weird, like the way it actually ever worked was such a weird tight niche.
Yeah.
Of power versus lift versus that envelope it rides on.
And I want to do it because I want to figure out how to integrate that LiDAR sensor. Right?
Yeah.
I think that would be really, really cool. And there's not really any other application for it unless you're doing multi-rotor and you want to put in an altitude hover set, at which point you can more or less use the GPS and you'll be close enough.
Yeah. For most anything over 20 feet.
Yeah, the GPS holds good enough.
So what about? Quick question about the solar plane. What the foam board? What flexed too much?
No, it was just too heavy. I couldn't get a good enough wing. I couldn't get in a good enough thrust to weight ratio with the foam board at the smaller size. So I was doing a relatively small wing of 26 inches, so 6 cells together, right, with a mild sweep, and it was just it was just too heavy at that size. I think my options are either
there was no backer. It was just the raw panels and wiring.
Yeah. It was the raw panels, wiring, and I was doing a stepped airfoil on it to protect the cells a little bit.
Like RC Test Flight kind of did something similar.
Yeah.
Okay. I've gone down the same rabbit holes. You and I have a lot of the same thoughts.
I heavily based it off of the RC Group's thread that RC Test Flight had linked to in those videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll paint you a picture afterwards. But yeah, no, it didn't work. I keep thinking that would be so cool to send into combat, right? Because at the end of the day with combat, the battery life is what limits everyone, right? And if you're in a solar plane, like battery life, you know?
Well, until they tell you to dive and hit the flag, right?
Well, that's part of what.
Then you got to buy new solar cells.
No. That's when you go and land. You just go, oh, I didn't do it. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, that's almost like that's part of what one of the we'll call it stretch goals of building something that's got basically a 4-foot or 3-foot cord was to be able to fit solar panels in it and be able to loiter for an hour. Right?
Really?
Yes, that's why I have 2 tandem wings. The goal is the surface of it, and the wings are large collection surfaces. And it's not designed to like do loops and rolls, right? It's designed to loiter level at a certain altitude and just go around and have everybody give a chance at it. It's basically like a steady. The goal is to have it be a steady FPV platform that people can try to land on. with the added bonus of if you flying the one plane, it can take it and shoot it out again. If you land it right,
cool.
it'll take it, cycle it through, and shoot it out in combat.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, no, that'd be great.
The idea would be is if it was what are those things? Capacitors. Basically, have a big like a small capacitor plane, and so as it's going through that process, it's charging.
You saw the Rotor Riot video, right?
I can't remember. I think I saw a couple. I don't know if I saw the Rotor Riot one.
There's a Rotor Riot
them trying to land on a plane
that built the FT Kraken. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw that.
The induction charging. Yeah.
Technically, it worked.
I don't know. They landed it on the plane. That's what I'll give them credit for.
Yeah, it worked. And they were in fact charging something.
I don't know about that, but yeah. Like the other idea that I've had, and it's just I haven't gotten around to it yet, right? Is an F111. So use a swing wing, maybe not heavily, but like borrow off what the F14 did well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what I think would be really, really cool is I bought a pitot tube for RC airplanes that has an I2C plug-in port, right? And just attach that to an RD pilot, have artificial values, because the Reynolds numbers that we're dealing with for RC scale flight don't matter, right? Mm-hmm. So we would just say if we're below 20 meters per second, the wings are full out, and then above 40 meters per second, the wings are full in, and then in the between, just linear progression, and then there's no 3-position switch, there's no nothing. The airplane knows how fast it's going and swing wings appropriately with that pitot tube in the nose.
I love Brian's know, like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. And Travis,
you're like, the thought has crossed my mind as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, yeah, because the pitot tube, it's the ram air. It's
the ram air, yeah. It's still gonna work.
Yeah, it would work.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, all it is it's a speed. It's a speed measurement, right? I mean, it's yeah.
Well, and that's all you're doing. That's the reason to have the Pixhawk.
I mean, I already have the Pixhawk.
I mean, that's the reason to use it, because that has a sensor that's already set up and it's easy. It's an easy plug and play. Plus, you can grab fish tubing and route it however you want.
I came with the fish tubing. I'm good. Yeah.
One that faces forward.
Yeah.
And then one that just sticks out the side of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you thinking on this pitot tube to adjust the folding and unfolding of the wings? I mean, what's going to be the mechanical mechanism that the ram air shoves against?
It's a sensor.
Oh yeah, it's just a sensor. You're measuring the speed of the plane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you're automatically adjusting
the servo system. Okay.
Based on that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an internal pressure system.
I'm just thinking. My mind went to a real mechanical.
You're full scale then.
Yeah.
As you should. Because I mean, when I look at the plane, I'm like, the one I have to build, I'm like, okay, there's a pitot tube there. I'm like, where's the other one route to? And I'm looking. I'm like, well, it sticks out there, and it also sticks out. I'm like, why is there two? What the? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
You're thinking
I'm just kind of tracking.
Are you thinking the static port? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's a static port, right? Yeah, and they're just kind of equalizing, just making sure that it's not pulling some sort of random anomaly, right? And it's like, oh, okay, that's actually extra smart. And I never would have, if I were doing this on my own, I never would have thought to do that. But like, yeah, I'm looking like, oh, that's just a stupid tube. And it just, as long as this one's going this way, and there's more to it, right? And this one just sticks out sideways. You're good. That's all it is. Like, that's it. I always thought there was more to it.
Ironically, that's not that different from the original system that was on the Tomcats, their Mach sweep programmer.
Right.
No, it's not something that the pilots controlled. I mean, I think they had a manual override, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
For wings out, but for the most part, it's an automatic system.
Yeah.
Really?
I think on the later planes, it was basically almost a 3-position switch at that point, because they would just mostly put it in a mid sweep maneuvering position. But the early ones definitely had a full system for figuring it out.
I don't know. I watched the Real Engineering video on this, and I know a decent bit about the engine upgrade as a F110 enjoyer myself. Those damn TF-30s, they killed Goose.
Any reason not to use a TF-30.
Yeah. But I'm not really sure. I know that they moved, they were those front strakes that would pop out once the wings went backwards to essentially counteract the lift that you lost. And that they removed with the F-14B as well. But I don't really know what they did about the position switch, but that's a tangent, sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm realizing that I have abused your collective time. I know. And I don't feel like we have really, but you know, like I also recognize we've been here for a long time. If you're listening to this and you're still listening, like thank you so much for listening. This has been crazy long. I invite all of us to continue talking after we do this, but I wanted to wrap this up. Jarrod, is there anything do you have stuff on RC groups? Not just flight test forums. I mean, I can link to the flight test forum stuff. I know most of where that is, and you include on half of those. If it's on flight test forums, there's a good chance there's build sheets, PDFs to pull from, and you can build your own, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's Zephyr 1. That's the name on the forums.
ZEPHER.
Yes.
Okay.
The Greek wind god. Or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Aircraft that I thought was really cool when I was 15, and now I'm stuck with.
I mean, I definitely still have that question of how do you cycle through your planes, but that, I don't know, maybe you can answer that and that's how we finish. But yeah, is there anything anywhere else they can look for any of your things, or just find you a Flight Fest?
I'm actually working on putting together a website at the moment. Once my college student finishes their co-op and has a free week, they're getting paid to make me one.
Well
so
done.
I want to have a website up with a lot of the plans ready to go, a lot of the videos, and a lot of the project completion steps ready to go.
Yeah.
Just as one large thing, I think would be great, because we were posting to the Flight Test fans page for a long time. We're posting to the forum for a while, and I got out of the habit of that. So
yeah,
this should help me document everything.
I feel like the one benefit for me the Flight Test forums always gave me was a place to drop my brain.
Yeah.
So that I could come back to it later if I needed to, and also to be able to share it too, right? But
yeah.
And also with that, you'd get a lot of people having some really interesting input about things you didn't really think of as you were kind of focused on something, right? So how do you, this will be my last question to you,
sure.
And then I'll thank everybody for our time, and then I'll close it out. And again, we can keep talking, but how do you manage to keep so many large planes from overwhelming your home?
Oh, that's super easy. You store them in your parents' shop.
Okay. I mean, you heard it here. Basically, buy more buildings, folks. Buy more buildings. Big build big, and buy more buildings.
Our own parents' shop. I thought we were all going to be able to start storing them at your parents' shop, Jarrod.
well stated. I think your parents are going to appreciate that you invited us to store it with our own parents and not yours.
Listen, if you want to make the trip to Cincinnati and you want to give me custody of your very, very valuable projects, then who am I to stop you?
Nice. All right. Well, look, thanks everybody for joining in today. I really appreciate everybody's time, both our special guests here, Brian Phillips, Travis Charbonneau, and Jarrod Roetenberger. I want to thank you guys for showing up and kind of doing this debrief, as well as getting to talk to you, Jarrod, in person about your projects. I mean, you and I have talked forever, but I appreciate it. Listeners, I appreciate your time listening to this episode. It's on YouTube. It's going to be on Spotify. You're listening to one. If you want to see some of the things, go to YouTube. It'll be there too. I'll put a video with some of the projects and some of the photos that we've seen along the way. We'll probably be grabbing a number of the photos from our Discord group so that you can see some of the things. If you're not on it, go on it to our Discord. There'll be a link in the description or doobly-doo. You can reach me at Matthew at Aviationrcnoob.com. You can reach both Joe and I at Aviation aviationrcnoob@gmail.com. We have a website, aviationrcnoob.com. Let's see. There's more stuff, but that's about it. If you really loved what we're doing and what we're talking about, and you want to help keep the lights on, big thanks to the patrons who do. If you want to join that crew, there's a link to the patron site at the bottom. We'd love to have your help with that. That always never hurts. We really appreciate. And again, just thanks everybody for joining me today and talking about the subject I think that we all here love very much, is basically coming together as a community, flying, geeking out, talking about the thing we love, which is aviation, both scale and full scale. I think, is there anything else? Anybody else want to add anything as we say goodbye?
I'm good.
I think you covered it. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Goodbye.
See ya.
Wave goodbye, Gracie. Okay. And we're out. Oh, I gotta wait for the music. Is it gonna play out? We're all gonna pretend we're talking about stuff. No, I still want to talk about that solar plane. I've been thinking about that solar plane for so long, Jarrod. Seriously, you don't even know.
It's always so tantalizing, right?
The thought has crossed
so
my
much
mind as well.
All right, I've stopped recording here. I'm going to.
I want to make sure Craig goes away before I say anything.
Yeah, let me kick Craig out. Stop the current recording.